Good Friday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We made it to the end of another week, and I hope you guys have had a great one. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Friday. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and today, in an entertainment spotlight, you're being part of my conversation with acclaimed actor Tony Todd. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Friday headlines. In Mississippi news, vaccine appointments now open in Mississippi to those 50 and older. Mississippi is working to administer the COVID-19 vaccine as quickly as possible. The state is now offering the Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is also known as the Janssen COVID-19 vaccine. Governor Tate Reeves announced on Thursday that anyone 50 and older is eligible to get the vaccine. To date, 94% of COVID-19 related deaths and 80% of COVID-19 related hospitalizations in Mississippi have been among those 50 years old and older, according to the Mississippi State Department of Health. So far, about 350,000 persons aged 50 years old and older have received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine in the state. We are expanding our eligibility to this age group to increase the access to vaccination in this vulnerable population and prevent hospitalizations and deaths, said the Mississippi State Department of Health State Doctor, Dr. Paul Beers. Other eligible groups include teachers, public safety personnel, and anyone 16 to 49 with chronic health conditions. In more COVID-19 news, bucking GOP trend, Alabama governor extends mask order. Breaking with other Southern GOP governors, Alabama Governor Kay Ivey extended her state's mask order for another month on Thursday, but said the requirement will end for good in April. Following the recommendations of medical officials, Ivey said she will keep the mask order that was set to expire Friday in place until April the 9th. We need to get past Easter and hopefully allow more Alabamans to get their first shot before we take a step some other states have taken to remove the mask order altogether and lift other restrictions. Folks, we are not there yet, but goodness knows we're getting closer, Ivey said at a news conference on Thursday. Ivey has faced political pressure to lift the mask order as some other Republican-led states have done. Texas and neighboring Mississippi are easing health restrictions as vaccination numbers rise and illnesses linked to the coronavirus decline. In extending the order for another 5 weeks, Ivey threaded a political needle, following medical advice while letting people know a firm end date is in sight. The governor calls masks one of our greatest tools in preventing the virus spread, but emphasized that she will not extend the mask order further, saying it will become a matter of personal responsibility when the mandate ends. In national news, police request 60-day extension of guard at U.S. Capitol. The Capitol Police have requested that members of the National Guard continue to provide security at the U.S. Capitol for another 2 months, the Associated Press has learned on Thursday. Defense officials say the new proposal is being reviewed by the Pentagon. The request underscores the continuing concerns about security and the potential for violence at the Capitol 2 months after rioters breached the building in violence that left 5 people dead. And it comes as law enforcement was on high alert on Thursday around the U.S. Capitol after intelligence uncovered a possible plot by a militia group to storm the building. The potential plot is tied to the far-right conspiracy theory promoted by QAnon supporters that former President Donald Trump will rise again to power on March the 4th, the original presidential inauguration day. Defense officials confirmed that the request is under review at the Pentagon and that the Guard has started checking states for availability of their troops in an effort to be prepared if final Defense Department approval is given. The officials spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. The more than 5,000 Guard members currently in Washington, D.C. are all slated to go home on March the 12th, ending the mission. In business news, U.S. jobless claims tick up to 745,000 as layoffs remain high. The number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits edged higher last week to 745,000, a sign that many employers continue to cut jobs despite a drop in confirmed viral infections and evidence that the overall economy is improving. Thursday's report from the Labor Department showed that jobless claims rose by 9,000 from the previous week. Though the pace of layoffs has eased since the year began, they remain high by historical standards. Before the virus flattened the U.S. economy a year ago, applications for unemployment aid had never topped 700,000 in any week, even during the Great Recession. And finally, in entertainment news, pandemic Golden Globes ratings plunged 64% to 6.9 million viewers. The pandemic-era Golden Globes sunk to 6.9 million viewers, down a whopping 64% from 2020, and only barely beating the year when a writer's strike forced NBC to show a news conference announcing the winners. Last year's show in the pre-lockdown era reached 18.4 million viewers, the Nielsen Company said on Thursday. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Relationships are important. Your relationships with people are important. So become willing to make an effort to cooperate. Peace begins within each and every one of us. As we achieve our inner peace, this attitude and feeling of peace will spread outward to our relationships. There are always ways to work things out with those closest to you, as long as that is your choice and you are safe. This sense of peace you find within will then have a ripple effect into your other activities and other relationships. You can choose to see the world as family, an extended family, as you share your peace and joy. Today, make an effort to find your peace within yourself. Now share this peaceful feeling with your family, friends, and others. Enjoy the day.
Acclaimed actor Tony Todd is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight, right here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Acclaimed actor Tony Todd told me on Conversations Live, the radio show, it's been amazing to look at his career and all he's been able to do. Here's a bit of our conversation.
For over 3 decades now, Mr. Todd, you've been able to enlighten us, to frighten us through the different characters that you've been able to play, and now with Worth, even be able to inspire us a little bit. I mean, what has that been like for you to kind of slip into the skin of these characters and to bring them to life?
Well, I grew up an only child. I was rescued by my aunt at the age of 3, and the best thing she ever did for me, besides putting a plate of food on my table, is made sure that every summer I was involved in a different program, whether it was geology or dinosaur hunting or science or, the Boy Scouts, which I spent 5 years and became a Life Scout in. So I always had my active mind, and it was an English teacher in high school because I had a growth spurt between sophomore and junior. I grew like 6 inches and my voice dropped. And but I was hopeless to the athletic department. And she knew that I always used to like reading. I was a vociferous reader. So she handed me a script of The Tempest one day, 6 years of Tempest, and it changed my life. It was like a graphic novel come to life. And that's where the seed of acting started, saying, wow, this is filled with so many different characters. And I wasn't fascinated with any one of them. I wanted to be all of them. And I think that's what led me to being an established character actor. I get to play different characters in all the projects I do. Some of them are here to frighten you, as you said, and some of them are here to enlighten you. So I like that phrase.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll have you guys on Monday with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host Cyrus Webb saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.